Transitions, so important to the editing process that some might refer to them as editing's backbone. While my favorites happen to be cinema's classic cut or dissolve, YouTube and music videos have revolutionized the creativity used. Everything from the hand over the camera to the body, to the whip pan, to the zoom in and out slingshot, to the luma fade, to the blur in and out, to the mask out, to the glitch out. But for this video, I wanted to play around with some ideas that we don't see that often, and this is where it starts. The painting transition. This transition takes a painting and turns it into your footage. Or, in the reverse, takes your footage and turns it into a painting. This transition starts in After Effects, and you're going to want to take your footage and add a CC plastic effect. You're going to want to play around with some of the properties, such as the roughness and dust, until you get a look that looks similar to this. Next, I add a CC vector blur, and it's going to give you more of that watercolor kind of look. For this particular effect, I use a directional fading, and I play around with the amount until I see something I like. Next, I'm going to add a brushstroke effect, but the problem with this particular effect is that it actually creates a kind of glitching as you play through. What you're going to want to do is go to Composition, and go to Save Frame As. This is going to export that particular frame as a JPEG. Next, you're going to want to bring that JPEG into your project, and then bring in footage of that picture frame, where you're going to mask out the area where the picture is going to be in place. Next, what you're going to want to do is add an extract effect, both to the frame footage and to the actual painting JPEG. You're going to want to animate the black point and white point of the footage and the painting JPEG both at the same time so that it reveals your base footage at the very bottom. To do this in reverse, you're going to want to stylize that footage in just the same way. This time, you're going to keep that JPEG as your base footage, and you're going to add the extract effect to your actual footage. Then, you're going to scale down your frame footage, so it looks like you're transitioning from your original footage, now to this painting. 2. The action transition. This transition has you doing the same action in multiple locations, so it looks like you're seamlessly performing that action through the transition. To do this, I set up my tripod and I measure out the distance from where the action's taking place to where the camera's located. I want to make sure it's exactly in the same spot. And then I bring that into Premiere. And I line it up by dropping the opacity on the top layer so I can match the two as closely as possible. If you get them pretty close, it's going to look like a pretty seamless transition. Number 3, the scene jump. This utilizes a pretty similar technique, but rather than doing a hard cut between the two, you're actually going to bring both of them and you're going to overlay the two scenes together. To do this, you're going to get your footage of you doing the same action in two spots, just like the previous technique. Then, you're going to animate your top footage over. Then you're going to add a crop effect and scoot the left property over so that the peak of the action is right in the middle of the body. From there, after I've lined up the two, I'm going to nest that sequence and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to mask that small area of the transition, and then I'm going to add a turbulent displace effect to give it kind of a warped look. And that's all you have to do for this effect. 4. The Shatter Punch. I'll admit this one's a little cheesy, but I think it could be a really fun one to use if you're creating a cheesy style kung fu movie, kind of like a Kung Fury or something like that. For this one, you're going to bring your footage into After Effects. You're going to use a shatter effect. And what you're going to want to do is set your view to rendered, set your pattern under shape to glass, then play with some of the properties to figure out what kind of style you're going for. This particular effect will start at the very beginning of your footage, unless you animate the radius property into a later spot. So keep that in mind as you play around with this effect. Number 5 is the frame fall, which is just like it sounds. You're falling through the frame. To get this, you're going to get two shots, one of you falling down, the other from another location of you jumping and then falling down. With your base layer being on top, the bottom layer is going to be positioned directly below, and you're going to animate the two up together at the same time. Try to position this so that the two bodies look connected as you're animating them up. 6 is the pinch. To do this, you're going to go into After Effects, get that footage of you looking like you're pinching the camera. First thing you're going to do is add a spherize effect. This kind of gives it more of that warped look right where your fingers are pinching. Next, you're going to add an optics compensation effect. What you're going to do is you're going to check the reverse lens distortion and then you're going to animate the field of view to go up and back as you're pinching and then releasing your fingers. Next, you're going to add the footage that you want to transition to, and you're going to add that same optics compensation effect. You're going to animate the field of view up and then to 0 with a little bit of a blend of opacity, and this should give you a pretty seamless transition between the two. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I know that was a ton of information, so if you want me to break down any of these transitions into a more detailed tutorial, just let me know down in the comments and I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. As always, if you like the video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I've got a lot more good stuff coming, and I'll see you in the next video. Cool, peace.